Why does everything that we used to love as kids kind of suck now? The level of attention and quality and care that things used to receive when we were kids, the games that we loved growing up, the movies and shows that we loved growing up, was just so much better than it is nowadays. And a big example I want to talk about today is Pokémon. Obviously, I'm 24 years old. I'm not the biggest Pokemon fan at this point in my life, but it does hold a special place in my heart because I grew up playing Pokemon. It was one of my favorite franchises as a kid. I'd collect all the cards, or try to, and I would play all of the games and watch the shows. And I remember as a kid, I had just beaten Pokemon Diamond, and I was sitting watching TV, and I saw the trailer for Pokemon Platinum come out. Now, if you don't know, the way Pokemon works is there's always two games in the same year that release at the same time. It's like two different styles of the game. So that year specifically was Pokemon Diamond and Pokemon Pearl. Both games were fun, but they had different legendaries that you could get. But the third game of that installment that was supposed to come out was called Pokemon Platinum. And I'm telling you, when I watched the trailer on my TV as a kid and saw that you could walk on walls, I was like mind blown. It felt like every single Pokemon game kept improving as they came out and as time went on. And going from there, I played Black and White, and I played X and Y, and Sun and Moon, and it just felt like they kept improving the quality of the games. And it felt like they were just continuing to make strides year after year when new games would be released. And fast forward to yesterday when I just saw the Nintendo Direct, and Pokemon Legends ZA is coming out, which is the newest Pokemon game, and it looks horrible. Like you're just stuck in one city the entire game, and there's wild zones within the city where you can capture Pokemon. You don't even go out in the wild anymore. And I just think the quality has dropped so much. Like if you look at the windows on the sides of buildings, they're just like JPEGs copied and pasted. And I really hate that for Pokemon because again, I grew up loving that as a kid, and it just really hurts to see one of the things I loved as a kid just turn into this like pile of garbage. And yeah, some of the gameplay is still fun. I typically do buy the new games still, but I know as a huge Pokemon fan, or once was a huge Pokemon fan, that these games lack severe quality, especially from a studio that should be a AAA studio. Now, if you don't know, Pokemon is the #1 franchise in the world, meaning it's made the most money out of any franchise ever in the world. And I think number 2, I can't remember what that franchise is, but it's not even anywhere close to the amount of money that the Pokemon company has made off of Pokemon. Like no other franchise is even close. So from an outsider just looking in, I think that a lot of that money should go to their game development because once the money goes into the game development, that trickles down into other sales of merch, plushies, cards, shows, everything else because the consumer likes the game so much that it makes me want to buy other things. But unfortunately, that's just not the case here. Pokemon has a severe lack of quality in the game department, and Game Freak will not hire more people. I don't really understand it. They only have 300 people working at their studio, and they will not hire one single extra person if it makes the job a little bit easier or the quality a little bit better. They want to stay as a team of 300. And while I respect that, I think that there has to be some changes made so that way we can get better quality video games. Because I don't know about you, but I have played the last couple Pokemon games, and in my entire lifetime, I have never traded a Pokemon game back in after playing it. I usually kept playing it after a while trying to capture all the Pokemon, but with the Legends Arceus game, I traded that right back in within a month. I really don't know what it is about the Nintendo Switch and Pokemon games, but Game Freak has not been able to figure out how to make a legit good Pokemon game on the Nintendo Switch. And I really don't mean to be rude when I say this, but I just don't think Game Freak has figured out how to make a solid 3D based Pokemon game. Like the 2D games back in the day with some 3D elements were incredible. Back on the DS, they just looked so good. And I kind of wish they would just go back to like the pixelated version of Pokemon at this point, or at least what they had on the DS because it was just so much better. I feel like nowadays there's just no consistency with their formula. At least on the DS you knew every single time they made a Pokemon game, it would probably look and feel about the same, but there would be new elements to explore when the game came out. Nowadays on the Switch, they just haven't been able to figure it out. We have a different art style with Pokemon Sword and Shield, then a different art style again with Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, and then again we had a different art style and direction with Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, and then again they did a different style art form for the Pokemon Legends games. And I'm all for a game studio branching out and trying new things, but when you didn't get 3D animation right the first 3 times, you might as well just chalk it up and say you don't know how to do it. Like, I was so devastated when Brilliant Diamond came out, because Diamond is my favorite Pokemon game of all time, and I hold it very close to my heart. And then they came out with this weird looking animation style for the game, and this weird like 3D chibi style animation. Like, it just did not look good at all in my opinion, and it didn't even play that well. And speaking of not playing well, I have to go back to Pokemon Legends, because the Arceus game was the glitchiest Pokemon game I've ever played in my life. I actually can't even believe that they launched that on the Switch. It was that bad. And honestly, if you're thinking about playing that game, just take my word for it, it's not really worth it. Yeah, the gameplay can be fun at points and times, but overall it just seems like a very empty world, and you're just kind of walking around in grass trying to find Pokemon and doing similar challenges all over the world. Again, I think that it's cool that they went in a new creative direction, but at the end of the day, it was a failure in my opinion. Even though they made a ton of money off it, millions and millions of dollars, the game itself was just not very good at all. Personally, I just don't understand how Nintendo can launch games like Breath of the Wild, which plays fantastically on the Switch. Doesn't matter what Switch you have it on, it plays incredibly well, and it looks so good. The render distance is pretty good, the animation looks incredible, the world is huge, the buildings actually have great detail in them, it just overall looks incredible. And then you load up Pokemon Legends, and it just looks horrible. And speaking of that, the new Pokemon Legends game, speaking of world building, the buildings themselves are just copy and pasted JPEGs. Like, I just don't understand how they let these types of things fly with a company that's made billions of dollars. So with all that being said, I don't really understand why the games are such bad quality at this time. Like, 2025, games are the most advanced they've ever been in the entire span of video games, and we are getting some of the worst quality Pokemon games of all time. This is my message to Game Freak. If you would just hire more people, spend the money, focus on the quality of the game, more people will buy the game. You will see an increase in sales 100%, and that will trickle down into sales of merch, cards, etc. Please just do your due diligence, hire more people, and have better quality games, because we really need it. And I know the games are not meant for 24-year-olds. I really do understand that. But it's the same thing with Disney Star Wars. You have a fan base that has been with the company since it started, that is growing up with the company and has grown up with the company, and we want to continue to support and play the games and watch the shows and do all of the things, but they have to be quality and they have to be good. So that was my rant on Pokemon. Thank you for watching. If you got through that, I'm sorry about that big rant, but it just had to be said. And I know this is a little bit of a different style video for my channel, but I do have a lot of passion about the things I grew up with and a heavy hit of nostalgia every once in a while. And I like to lean into those things and talk about it, because I know a lot of you guys also grew up with the same types of media and still watch and play a lot of the games that we had as kids. So I definitely do want to do more of a series on these types of things, and let me know what games or shows you would like me to talk about in the future. See you guys in the next one.